So good evening together. We have two guests tonight. One time it's Cami and one time it's Allison. I hope you will tell us a little bit more about you guys, and the program looks very interesting. So I will give it right away over to you guys. And by the way, you can share whatever you want to share via Zoom. It's open. Here we go. But you're muted, I think.
I am. There we go.
Thank you.
I'm Allison, and I'm one of the coordinators for Beyond the Call of Duty, and I'm also one of the writers on our End of Watch Ride to Remember. So our organization, if you don't know anything about us, we're based out of Washington State, and we put on what we call our End of Watch Ride to Remember every year. And what that does is we leave here out of Spokane, Washington, the beginning 1st of June every year, end of May, kind of depending on dates. And there's 6 of us on motorcycles that travel the United States, visiting each law enforcement agency that lost an officer in the line of duty the year prior. So our main purpose for doing this is to honor the fallen officers and their families, their survivors, and their departments for their sacrifice that they made. And it's quite an interesting trip. We meet all sorts of people from all over the United States. In our first year on the trip, we traveled, we were on the road 68 days and rode just over 18,300 miles in that time. Wow. We honored 157 officers that were lost in the line of duty in 2019. We visited, I think it was 97 agencies across the country, honoring many more of those officers. It's a journey, to say the least. It's been life-changing. You see this is a picture. This is from our first year in 2019 families. And this is a family out of El Dorado County. And this picture is super important to me because this was the day that changed everything. This started for me as going for a ride with my buddy that I've had for 20 years and honoring law enforcement along the way. And this is the day, the department and the family, that changed the entire scope of things for me. It became all about less of the ride and more about these families. And right in the middle, you can see there's a gentleman. It was his son that was lost. And it's kind of hard to see, but you can see his right arm is tattooed. And he had never had a tattoo in his whole life, never thought he would. And when his son was killed, he had his son's tattoos recreated on his arms in honor of his son. And after speaking with him for about an hour and a half at the department, it changed everything. It became all about these families and these survivors and hearing the stories of their loved ones. So this was kind of a pivotal moment, I guess, for me, from being on a fun ride to it's no longer fun. This is about honoring these men and women and their family members. And this was, since y'all are writers, you understand the pain here. This was us riding into Chattanooga, Tennessee, in the midst of a nasty downpour. And I don't think the picture does quite justice, the fact that we basically swam in and out of Chattanooga. But we were greeted with these other motor patrols, and they came in and escorted us to a nice dry shelter for a few hours to try and wait the storm out a little bit at least and get some dryness to us. Oh. So, yeah. So the picture of the sun, oh, that That was it was quite a moment when you see the littles on the trip who have parents or grandparents or loved ones of any kind on the trailer. This is typically what the littles do, is they run to the trailer and they can spot there. In this case, it was his dad. They can spot them from a mile away. It's almost eerie how quickly they can keen in on their family members' pictures. And there's usually a hand touch or a kiss or a, look, mommy, it's daddy, or the other way around. But this was it. This was, I want to say his last name was Almendinger, and Jake, actually. And he was from Gallatin County in Montana. This was our very last stop on our first year of the trip. And it was heart-wrenching, to say the least. But this is kind of what, typical of what you'll see. Again, on the left, here's our first year, or 2019 riders and some of the officers from one of the departments we visited. It's a pretty typical picture of how they like to see us all lined up together. Let's next. So this was Jake's family in Montana. His parents, his wife, his mother-in-law, brother, sister, all their children. This is kind of a typical gathering for us on our ride when we do stops. Is these are the, it's not a family member that comes out to see the memorials. It's family units that come out. They're all have suffered this loss and came out to honor their son or husband, but we were there to honor them all. So that's kind of pretty typical for us, I would say. So on our trip, so here's one of our banners from 2019. And I think that first year we had 2 or 3 banners, and I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure on that. Understandably, after about 68 or 83, depending on the year, days on the roads in a row, things get a little blurry at a certain point. But what we do at each department is we place one of their patches on our banner. And not that you can zoom in and see this, but these are all family members or loved ones and other department members, other officers, and they get a chance to write whatever they'd like. And then what we do is we take all these banners at the end of our ride and display them. This last year, they were displayed at a distillery in Colorado, where they'd get lots of visitors come through for tours and tastings and whatnot. And so it gives people a chance to see some of these things that these families write and to their loved ones, or some of them are to us, to their departments. It's pretty emotional to read some of the things when you can see a 4-year-old who can barely write can write "I love you, Daddy," or "I miss you," or whatever it is that they write. They're very nice to go back through at the end and see the amount of love and respect that's out there for these officers. Oh, there's me. So as I said, on our first year of the trip, we traveled 68 days straight, and that was over 18,300 miles. On our second year, this past year, we were on the road 83 days straight. And we traveled just over 22,500 miles in that time. So it's a grueling trip, but it's 100% worth it. It's a roller coaster of emotions, and then joy of being on the motorcycle, which we all love. It doesn't take much for any of us to go for a ride. That's the easy part. The not so easy part is hitting 23 straight days of rain coming into Florida and Hurricane Irma, and I think there was a tornado in there. But the 23 straight days of rain can be a little much sometimes. Also, you can see on this map here, when we went into Nevada, there was some interesting ways that we went about that. We crossed the Mojave Desert twice in 24 hours in 120-degree heat. So that we're hoping to not quite do that again this year. But as long as there's a loss, then we will go to that department, whether it means 23 straight days of rain or 120-degree weather or flat tires and heat, and thankfully no cold. We do go in the summer, so we don't get a whole lot of cold like we're kind of used to up here in Washington. But this was, again, you can see the difference in the trailers. Our 2019 trailer, we had the 157 officers, and in 2020, I gotta take a look. We had 401 officers lost last year in the line of duty. That goes from, we thought 157 was a huge number. And to see it last year go to 401 was.
That was 2020, right?
That was in 2020, we lost 401.
And in 2021, how many you lost 2021?
So far, last year, since they do add officers later on into the year, but so far we're at 578. They actually have added 4 more since I looked just a few hours ago. It's a staggering number. It really is staggering. That's that many families that are out there that's loved one never came home. Most of which are for senseless reasons. I know COVID has had a huge impact on everyone worldwide, but the numbers still don't match. If we were to take COVID numbers out, which we would never do, but if we were, those numbers still keep growing year to year on these absolutely senseless losses. There's police officers that are getting ambushed for no apparent reason for sitting in their cars. There's just so much going on out there in the world today. Things have changed in the last few years, and how we can tell that the most is by seeing how many of these officers are lost for no reason. So it's a journey that will continue on. We again this year we're leaving June 1st out of Spokane, and I just saw, Deb, that you made a note that we saw you in Houston for Kayla, and so I was lucky enough last year. I rode in honor of Kayla all year. I rode on her honorary bike for the entire trip, and so
that makes my heart so happy. We probably crossed paths.
Well, if you met in Houston, if you were there, if you were at the trailer, then I was there.
So, small, weird world, and we did a lot to honor her, and we still do. And I'm still very close with her family, with her wife, with Caden. I mean, they're amazing people, and it's hard. It's hard to talk about.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for doing what you do.
Oh, it was such an honor this year. I got to spend 2 full weeks with Caden on the trip. He came out and joined us. I got to spend even more time. It was over 3 weeks that Tracy was out on the trip. And it was so wonderful to hear stories about Kayla and see, it's one of those, it's like it is with just about every officer. It's like, why couldn't we have met? Why were we meeting because of this and not before this incident? Because there's such amazing people out there. And Kayla would have been right up, my alley with riding motorcycles, and she was tough, and she was just an amazing woman. And I really wish that I had met her sooner. But I feel pretty lucky that I've been able to learn about her through Caden and Tracy. It's been amazing. I love Tracy to death, and I hear good things about Caden and his soon to be future going to school and whatnot. We're super proud of him, and have seen him just in 2 weeks was like blossomed into a different human being, which is what happens on this trip. We see family members, and kids and even parents. We see these families come in and they're timid and they're sad, and it's horrible. I mean, these are horrible experiences that they've been through and these losses that they've suffered. And you can see the growth in them and the change in them, knowing people are out there and having these relationships and supporting them no matter what, and letting them scream or cry or be mad or be whatever they want to be. And it's okay. And to know that there's some stranger that you've never met before all of a sudden cares about you and your loss and your family. It is absolutely amazing. And anyone who gets the opportunity to join in and ride with us and visit any of these departments, I could not recommend it more. It is a life-changing experience. At least it was for me. And I know that it has been for a lot of others that are involved in the ride, and a lot of the families that we've met. You know, they're not just, we don't just see them once and move on. There's people, they're now our family. You know, these are people that we talk to, or I talk to on a regular basis, and we're now involved in their lives and will continue to be. That was our purpose of this, is that if we could bring a little bit of closure or peace or happiness to one family, then it made the entire trip worth it. And I definitely think we've accomplished that. So we're going to keep doing it. And unfortunately, there's a need for us to keep doing it. We wish there wasn't, and we were just riding around having fun. But that's not the case. We get to ride around and have fun at other times during the year. But we have done some pretty neat things with some of these departments. As you'll see, there's we've been able, through donations from sponsors and people like you guys, and at all our visits, with their donations, this is what we do. We support these departments and these families, and we've even supported other organizations. Blue Line Bears is an amazing organization that Megan started a couple years ago, and what she does is they get uniforms, their fallens, their family members' uniforms, and she makes these adorable bears, teddy bears, out of them for these kids to have, you know, a piece of their parent or grandparent or uncle, whatever it may be, or for a spouse, that it's their actual uniforms, and they get to have a tangible, something they can hold on to and help remember and honor their family members with. One of the other things that we've done is we helped a department here just this last year with, they needed a new canine. They had a loss, and it was a department that we visited, and we were able, thankfully, to provide them with a new canine and all the training that was required for the dog and its handler. We have money to families that it's amazing to us sometimes that there's definitely families that are very well taken care of and surrounded by their communities with support financially and emotionally. And there's others that aren't as much. And so we've been able to help some of those families get by. Whether there are benefits or there's no benefits coming. That's something that I learned on the trip that I was very surprised by, is there's a lot of departments out there across the country who don't provide benefits to their officers. So if they pass, that's, no matter the reason, that's just the way it is. And there's nothing for these families. But Blue Line Bears, we donated them. You can see there's a Mustang, that maroon Mustang, to them, for them to raffle off to help continue their mission in ensuring that any family member of a fallen officer is able to get bears made for them. And Blue Line Bears, Megan, they make these bears and then ship them out or hand deliver them depending on the situation. And then you'll see there's two pictures with motorcycles in them. The first one on the left, the all black one, is that was our first year's motorcycle that went to Lemoore Police Department. So every year we donate a Harley Davidson, a brand new police motorcycle to a department. And as you can see, we set it up with light, sirens, their box. We set it up with anything that they need and deliver it to them. So out of the first 97 departments we visited, the bike on the left went to Lemoore PD out of California. And here in the middle was Mount Holly out of North Carolina. And that's who won our giveaway bike, you could say, this last year. And each department kind of has their own reasoning for wanting the motorcycle. Mount Holly is an amazing department. They're smaller, but they're outside a major metropolitan area in North Carolina. And they couldn't come up with a reason or convince city council to spend the money for an unproven program, which is a new motors unit. And this motorcycle, though they had tons of support from the community, this motorcycle will help them prove the theory that motor units within police departments are beneficial for so many reasons. And so they won that motorcycle. And you can see them, Walker County's I think Georgia, Walker County, Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. There's seems to be about a Walker County in every state in the country. But they're the ones who got the canine this year. So it's there's a lot more than we do for the departments and the families than we could ever list on anywhere. But that's kind of what we do with all the money that we raise from the trip is we give it back to the departments and families in one form or another. If there's a way we can help keep officers off this trailer and off these memorials and safe at home, then that's what we're looking to do. So we donated the car to Blue Line Bears for their raffle, but now we have a raffle this year that we're just starting to sell tickets for, and we're raffling off a 1963 Chevy 2 convertible. It's a super sport, and it's a ground up restoration. Absolutely amazingly beautiful car. There's no pictures out of it yet. And that's for a reason. Tickets are not officially, I don't have any tickets in hand yet to sell. We're still kind of waiting to get some flyers and ticket sale information out, but we're going to start selling tickets, and we are selling only 5,000 tickets. So it's a pretty good chance. And then I know personally I'm not allowed to buy tickets, but I know a ton of people that are, because this is a beautiful car for any of you car folks out there as well, that definitely worth it. And all the money goes to us to help keep us on the road and keep us donating and doing things for these departments and family members. So we're looking forward to it. We're going to have the drawing here on September 17th in Idaho at Selkirk Construction, which is gracious enough to be a sponsor of ours and to allow us to host us to do this drawing. But unfortunately, if you see us on the road, you won't be able to see the car in person. We're not going to bring it with us. That's maybe a little much to travel with on top of the memorial and the motorcycles, but I know there'll be lots of pictures out there, and we'll of course all have tickets in person when we're traveling around the country, as long as they're not sold out yet.
This guy is the same age than I. He's exactly my age.
See, it's meant to be. Yeah. And we also, part of that is the delivering, we'll get it to you. I'm not sure if you're in the US, if you're here, but we will also get it delivered to wherever it needs to go to the winner. So that'll be another exciting trip, because the 17th of September, when we draw the motorcycle, is also, or when we draw for the car, is also when we're going to announce the the department who wins the motorcycle for this year. So that'll be an exciting weekend for a lot of people. We'll have all the judges up here to vote on. We don't personally vote on who wins the motorcycle. That's a panel of judges that does that, but that'll be coming up in September. And it looks like Cami put up this is our tentative map for this year. We do not quite have dates and times in yet. We're still working on routing. As you can imagine, it takes just a tad bit of back end logistics to coordinate, 280 departments across the country. It's a little bit of a feat sometimes, but we always start up here in Spokane, Washington, and it's almost the same this year. It's a very squiggly counterclockwise pattern around the United States, but we get pretty busy, unfortunately, when we start coming into Texas. Texas
Yes.
is always, you guys always get hit pretty hard down there. And so we will definitely be in the Houston area. There's not much of Texas, a little bit of East Texas or West Texas, I'm sorry, that we won't be in, but everywhere else we're pretty much visiting.
Let us know. We'll be there. We will be there.
That would, and if you guys want to join in on the ride, that's definitely, as soon as we start getting our dates and times, we finish with our routing.
Yes.
Please take a look at our schedule and shoot us an email. You can send it. Deb's got Shaw's contact and Cami and I's all our contact information, or you can always email us at our info@eowride.org. And what that does, it's info@eowride.org. And that'll get to us. And so we know that you're interested in, letting us know some dates and some information that when you'd like to join in or whatnot. And we'll get back with you. We love having other riders join in. There's no other way to explain the trip than to go on it and visit a department or two, or spend a week with us, or whatever it is that you can. It's easier to understand. You kind of then see why so many of us are so passionate about this. Is you meet some of these families and it all just clicks and makes sense that you just want to get involved. There's nothing like seeing a family member who shows up in tears and ends our visit laughing and smiling and telling stories about their loved ones. It's when you see that transformation, it changes everything. So please do join in. We would love it. It's quite a trip. It's tough, but if I can do it, then anyone is welcome to do it. So we'd love to see you guys again, Deb, and I'm sure we'll see you. I know we'll be in the Houston area, unfortunately, for quite a few visits again this year. I think we've got, just going through the list, I think we've got about 8 departments that we're honoring officers for just right in Houston.
And I'll reach out to you through email so we can kind of connect up, because I also run the Houston area women riders, and I'm also close with a lot of Kayla's sisters from her club, and so I know we would love to come out and be part of it.
That would be wonderful, and we'd love to meet more of Kayla's friends and her sisters from her club, because she just sounds like an amazing person. So we'd love to see you guys down there all again this year. So please do, and I'll send you all the details that we've got on everything, and we can kind of go from there.
Excellent.
Allison, would you put the website in the chat, please? I just tried to get on what I thought it was, and it was unsuccessful.
Okay, Kim, I think Cami can probably.
Yeah, either one.
Okay. And it looks like, Cami, we're going to start a video. This is kind of our odd promotional video. Of course, it starts out with, this is Mindy Lloyd, actually, you can see in the, that I'm with. Her husband passed, Lieutenant Eric Lloyd from Las Vegas Metro PD. He passed last year due to COVID, and Mindy and her husband were a part of an organization, the Injured Police Officers Fund of Nevada. And yes, and they ran that and raised money and awareness for any officer statewide that was injured in the line of duty or that needed. So they were very involved. So this was, Mindy's an amazing person, and it's a good note to start the video on. Not sure if we have any volume on this.
Mm-mm. Not yet.
Okay.
Somebody's typing.
So there might not be volume on the video, but this is us from last year. You can see both our trailers, our support trailer and our memorial. Kind of just goes through some of these families and officers that we met along the way. Another. There's Covey there. That's one of our volunteers that's been with us on both years, the entire trip also. She was a motors officer who rode they rode BMWs, but she got to ride a Harley for the first time while we were visiting them.
Don't have any sound.
No sound. Well, as you can see, then these are just more pictures of us on our trip and some of these families that we met. And you can see these, well, that was in Colorado, I think, as I recall. Those were Colorado state troopers that were helping escort us in someplace. But
how many are you guys?
So typically on the trip, there's 6 of us on motorcycles. So we'll have 6 riders, 2 truck drivers, and then a handful of support people. So a lot of the time last year, we were somewhere between 11 and 14. We also had, we had survivors with us from the previous year. So at certain points we had up to, we had 4 survivors with us at once. We've also, so it kind of varies, it depends on the leg of the trip, and most of the bikes are filled up all the time. And then it's just dependent on how many survivors we have or support staff that's with us. We usually have some of the kids, and I say kids or teenagers, who help set up our merchandise table, because we do have and other memorabilia that we accept donations for on the road. And of course, all that money goes back to the families. And so the kids are pretty good at setting up the table and taking care of that end. And they also collect families, survivors information, so that we can be sure to stay in contact with them and reach back out to them as needed. And then they can reach out to us as well. So I don't know if you, John, if you saw if our email address is not up there, it is endofwatchride.com.
Yeah, I got it.
Put it in the chat.
That's the website.
This email will get you in contact with us, and then we can direct you to the correct place for anything you might want information about. The info@eowride.org.
Great.
It was a marvelous presentation.
Thank you. Oh, there's, of course, and here is our Facebook page, and I don't know if any of y'all are active on social media, but that's another way to help us out, is to share our Facebook and share these posts. They're pretty active on posting. We post about recently fallen officers in the past, to keep honoring them and keep people talking about them, whether they're from 10 years ago or last year, wherever it may be. We try and keep their faces in people's forethoughts and keep talking about them and asking questions. And we know that a lot of survivors watch our Facebook, and so they see these comments that they see when people are reaching out and sending love to them, and they see that, and it's I don't know, healing or helpful to them to see that people still care, no matter how long it's been, that they're still thought about, and that people still care about them out there. So that's definitely a way to also help us. Of course, we are run off, we're 100% volunteer organization. So we're run off of sponsorships and donations and everyday people, like our raffle. This is kind of how we make things happen. But we getting the word out there, whether or not it's sharing it on Facebook, and somebody comes out and sees the memorial or supports a family or says a kind word, it's all incredibly helpful for us to get these families out there.
We have a Facebook page as well.
We do. It's the EOW Ride. You can also on Facebook, if you type in Beyond the Call of Duty, it'll come up, EOW Ride. If you even go the whole way and do EOW Ride to Remember, it'll be in there.
On Fridays, JC does a live video where he talks about families and what's going on with Beyond the Call of Duty and the End of Watch Ride. And so that's an opportunity to kind of see what's happening and see some of the other people that have been involved and are helping and partnering with us. And you can get to that from the Facebook page.
So I didn't know if you guys had any questions or anything about us as an organization or the ride itself, or.
I think it's a non-profit organization, right?
We are a 501c3.
Okay. I think it would be maybe nice to make an own ride, for the police officers and make a donation, that we can make a donation to you. Maybe that would be great.
We would love both ends. We'd love to see you guys ride with us, and we would greatly appreciate a donation as well. But we definitely, are you in Houston?
Yes.
Okay, so hopefully we'll see you this summer then.
And on the time you're coming in, when it's normally the month you're coming in.
We're
typically
in Texas, middle of June. I think
yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, no, we're typically, so I don't know for this year, we haven't routed our dates out at this point, but I think the last couple of years we come into Texas, typically the beginning of the first week or the end of the first week of June. And I think we're usually there for about 2 weeks. Unfortunately, we spend a lot of time in Texas.
We have our international convention coming up from the 4th to the 8th of June. So it will be exactly in this time, right? So everybody from our club, pretty much everybody, will be there. So there will be a big group from us coming there. So maybe we can make something happen at this time for sure. And after that, we're going to the hill country for a 3-day ride. So let me exactly know what you think, of the days. I'm sure we will find a spot that we can meet you guys, and maybe we can, make a ride for us to raise a little bit money that we can give it to you maybe when you arrive here. So that would be great.
We would love that. And I will definitely, we'll be in touch with, as soon as we, here in the next week and a half, 2 weeks, we should start firming up some dates. And then we'll definitely reach out and let you guys know when we're going to be down there and when we come in and out and where we're going on all ends, so we can do something. We'd love to see you guys.
It's always good in person.
Yes, it's much better in person. And on the motorcycles, I mean, obviously that's it's got to be a passion of all of you, and it's definitely one of my passions. So I'm fortunate enough that I'll be on the ride again this year, so I'll see you all in Houston, and hopefully in June.
And hopefully not that hot as usual.
Oh,
I know.
I'm from Washington. Okay, the heat in Houston, the heat across
humidity.
It is too much, and I don't think that it's okay to have that type of humidity. In all honesty, that is not okay with us. I'm a Washington person. We don't have humidity here.
I totally get that, but right now it's awesome. You know, we have no humidity already, and we had today until 80 degrees, so it was perfect today. So where are you guys located in Washington State?
So the organization is based out of Spokane, Washington. So that's on the northeast corner of Washington State. I live on the other side of the state. I'm on the northwest coast.
Okay.
So I'm up out of Mount Vernon. So I'm about 2 hours north of Seattle. That's the easiest way of saying that.
Okay, that gives me an idea, because I have a friend, she lives in Bonnie Lake. This is Tacoma, you know, things like that. So
I know where Bonnie Lake is. I used to live there.
You see that.
So
sometimes I'm there.
That's about 2 hours on a 2.5 hours on a non-traffic day. So it's definitely different up here than a lot of the terrain that we ride through. I will say that when you go through that much rain, at least it happens like in the south to eastern coast. And so it's here when it rains, it's 40 degrees. Well, it's 40 degrees and raining right now. It's a little chilly, but we get there and it's 90 degrees and raining. So we can't really complain about it too much. It could always be worse. We could be at home in the 40s and still be just as wet. So some of the times I'll take the heat over the cold, but for the most part, I'm comfortable in 60-degree weather, not 100-degree weather like we see down by you guys.
This is challenging, I tell you, but most challenging is when you're getting in rain. And I had that 2019 on a trip from Houston to North Carolina. It was raining all the time, and we passed Tennessee, Chattanooga, also raining the whole time. So I totally get what you're going through or riding through at this time, right?
Yeah, it's very different. We hear it a lot from agencies that I talk to, and we're setting up dates. They're like, you guys do what? Well, what do you do when it rains? Well, we keep riding. Well, what do you do when it's windy or this happens? And it's like, we just keep going. We don't ever load the bikes and trailers. We don't have room for all the motorcycles in our trailers. So we just keep going. And yeah, there's a lot of days that we're pretty miserable.
Yes,
there's a lot of miserable days. It's not all smiles and happiness on the motorcycle. There's days that I'm sure all of us have at one point or another questioned why we're here. The families that keep us, that's what keeps us going and keeps us all coming back to continue to do this. If it was just the ride and it was just me and a group of my buddies doing this ride, there's days that I would have said, I'm out, I'm going, you people, because it's stressful. It makes it worth it to keep going to meet the survivors and these officers, and not just them, but just people. We stop at gas stations and grocery stores and restaurants, and It's what we do. We're in a different hotel every night for 83 days. So we run across so many people, and the amount of love for the trailer and for law enforcement that we see across the country is overwhelming. A tiny percentage of negative comments or actions occasionally, but that is not the majority. Climate out there, regardless of what we see on daily, in the media and what's going on, that's not what we see. We see tens of thousands of thumbs up and thank yous and people taking pictures of the trailers. So we see that hopefully there's a little bit of a change coming and the tide's starting to turn, and we can support these guys and women who are out there supporting us and serving us. So that's what we're hoping for, and what we love to see going across the country is all the love for these people.
I think what everybody like to realize is, that they are staying for us every day and fighting for us and looking that nothing is happening on the streets. And this is why I'm sure in Texas, everybody is trying to protect them. And this kind of politics was going on. Rotary is a non-politic organization. So we see only the lives. I can only talk for myself. So for me, what this guy is doing every day, it's a pretty hard job. And then they are alone most of the time, in the car and have to face this kind of situations. I think it's pretty amazing, honestly.
Yeah, it definitely takes a special kind of person. And they have to have they have to have it in their heart and in their soul to serve people. Because they're not in it for the money. It's not the best paying career out there. So a lot of these officers that we meet or that we're honoring, they were in the military and retired and are now in law enforcement. So it's something that they're born and raised with, is this desire to serve other people. And I definitely think they're a special breed, and they deserve a lot of support because they do a job that most people don't want to do, myself included. It is a horrible at times position to be in, to see people on their worst day. I can't imagine that police officers rarely see people on their best day. I mean, they're typically not involved. So it's definitely a special breed, and we love to see the support for them because we know that they appreciate it. And a lot of times they don't see it, one-on-one. Like you're saying, people are not always supportive or respectful. You don't even have to be supportive, but you could be respectful. And a lot of times that's not what they get.
Allison, what do you do during the ride? I know you've got a support trailer for breakdowns or mechanical problems, but I mean, do you have a spare bike that somebody could put up and take another bike when one goes down for something more than just a minor repair?
No, we do not have any spare bikes with us. Last year we stopped. We have 4 scheduled service days. So typically every 5,000 miles, we stop in for an oil change. That's when all of us have our laundry list of, my stereo doesn't work all the time. I can't use my navs. My brakes are wonky. We all take our laundry list of complaints, and we pre-plan our service days, and the dealerships that we go to are fully prepared for about anything that would be typical for us to go wrong. We usually get tires, brakes, we're checking everything. But no, unfortunately, we don't have any spares to come with us. We typically do have our giveaway bike, but we can't put the miles on that. So if we were to have a breakdown, we load it up and keep going. Whoever was on that motorcycle now gets to ride in the truck for a few days or until we can get it figured out. And hopefully that's not me.
I mean, when you've got scheduled stops for the different police departments, it makes sense to have those scheduled days for maintenance, just because you've got to be prepared for that.
Yeah, and so tires, like talking about the heat and the rain, as especially as a combination, we stay on top of our tires. We, typical on my own personal bike, I'm not going to put tires on it every 5,000 miles. I don't need to. But on these, we typically are putting tires on at every service stop, because we're riding. It's hot. We're not on interstates or good roads the whole way. A lot of times we're on less than desirable riding condition roads. And so for our safety and the safety of the guy riding next to me at 90 miles an hour, we stay on top of our maintenance pretty good. A couple of our riders, and myself included, we're fairly mechanically inclined. I've been on a motorcycle, been on Harleys for 25 years. So I hope I didn't date myself too much, but so and my husband's a Harley mechanic. So it's, things you pick up over 25 years of riding bikes and basically living with them. So we're pretty good about it. There's a lot of nights that we spend nights in the parking lot working on bikes and fixing something, or working on a trailer because X, Y, and Z happened. I countless nights that we're not just having a good old hooting and hollering time at the hotel. We get in and boy, we got work to do. We unfortunately, you put that many miles on anything and things are bound to go wrong. So we stay on top of our maintenance pretty daily.
But 90 miles per hour.
Well,
it's okay.
Did I say 90?
I'm only kidding. Yeah, you said 90. I'm fine with that. Cami, what is your position in this group?
I'm a behind the scenes support person. I help with all the sponsorships and donations and keeping track of everything, doing a lot of the administrative stuff. I was married to a police officer for 17 years, so I have sort of a different perspective. Allison speaking to how, officers get to see people on their worst day, and all of that is very true. And I worked at the police department as well, so I really came to know a lot of officers and have a lot of respect for what they do. And I've known JC for about 10 years. And when he started this, I was like, yeah, I've got to be a part of it. So I'm not a motorcycle rider. I like to be a passenger. But I love, my gift is support, administrative support and things like that. So that's what I do.
It's needed as well. So every helping hand, right?
We have a lot of, Cami is a huge piece of our background support. But we have a lot of people who put a lot into this organization, whether it's their forte is their fundraising end or their writers or their whatever there's a lot that goes into it. And so we are super appreciative of everyone who helps.
I can imagine.
Cami is amazing at what she, we all have our niche, and Cami's got quite a few. So I think everyone involved feels the same way about everyone else. Is I couldn't do this, Cami couldn't do that. It takes the herd of 20 of us to make this happen.
And we are all volunteers, right?
Yes, we are all 100% volunteers. So
same as we.
Yeah, everyone involved does it because they love it and they have a passion for it. And the reason everyone is involved is different. We have retired law enforcement or spouse of law enforcement. We have so many different backgrounds. We're a pretty eclectic group, but we all have a reason for being here. And they're very different. So that's the kind of interesting part, is we all come from very, very different backgrounds. But we have come together for this. And a lot of people in this organization, I would have never in a million years met in my private life. I would have never ran across some of these people. So it's been a blessing that, you know, these strangers or acquaintances, one-time acquaintances, are now family. And not to say we're not dysfunctional. I know maybe we should use the word team, but we're definitely a family.
Yeah, thank you guys for this very
thank you.
This very impressive, you know, how you call it, presentation, and show us what you're doing. And we definitely like to support you. I, for my person as well. So, you know, whenever you come, we try to make something happen as long as we know where you're coming, because I think it's really important also for the family. And, you know, it's a danger job, you know, they never know they're coming home in the next evening, you know, and maybe it's only somebody gets crazy, you know, and there's not really a reason, you never know that. And we need these people badly, you know, and especially the last 2 years, this is going like a mess everywhere. And that you can see on your numbers, and at the death we have to cry for, you know, and pray for. And I have no words for that. So thank you for what you're doing. And we appreciate that you was our guests. Yes. And you are more than welcome. There was one member, I don't know, you saw that. They said you should be a member of our club. Because our Rotary Club calls the Rotary Club of Motorcycle Rotarians, and we are all over the place. So Keith, for example, is right now in Florida, but he lives in Virginia. Then Rory lives in Michigan. Ron is in California. David is in Georgia. Deb and I are in Houston, in the Houston area. Mickey is a little bit more up north, you know. So so we are all over the place. And if you are interested in what we're doing and what Rotary do, you are more to welcome to join our meetings. It's every Friday night at the same time, Wednesday, I'm sorry, at the same time. And you are more to welcome to look what we're doing and what kind of speaker we have. Of course, Cami, you too, even if you were not riding a motorcycle, but we like friends of motorcycle as well. So that's really an honor to have you with us. So feel free to switch in and join us, you know. That's not a big deal. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you letting us come and tell you a little bit about us and our experiences on this journey. And hopefully, whether it's in Michigan or Florida or Virginia or in Houston, wherever it is, please take a look and come to one of our events where we're visiting, you know, I think almost 40 states again this year, which means that we're actually stopped going through many more states than that. But we'll be around and would love to meet you and have you come out and see the memorial and experience a visit to the department. We'd love it.
Is it okay if I share your contact information, Cami, because you are the organizer, right? With some local Rotary clubs, you know, because of, you know, with donations, maybe you can make a speak. We have a lot of hybrid meetings still, you know, with the local clubs. And we in Houston have a project for the firefighters, you know, because 1 of 3 firefighters get cancer from the work what they're doing. And we try to build for firefighters and first responders a hospital, like a house for the firefighter, that the people, they come in for the treatment in Houston for the cancer treatment, that they don't have to be worried about, you know, hotel room and how the family is staying one. This is one of the projects I will, you know, in the next years make an eye on it to get donations for that, because, you know, when they're coming in for the treatment, the family can join them. They have no cost for them, so they can stay together and can heal, have time for healing also, you know. So that's a project we have here too. So that would be a great combination between this project and your project. So I would like to share that with 2 or 3 really big Rotary clubs over here. So maybe we can get a little bit more support for you.
Yeah, we would love that. And that sounds like an amazing project that you're on to do that for the firefighters. That's a staggering number for them that many are come down with cancer. They definitely, my grandfather was a fire captain for 28 years out of California. So thankfully he was not one of those statistics. But we know quite a few are, and we see that, and it is also a staggering number. So that's a wonderful project to work on and give them that safe place to have a comfort zone when they're here for treatment, and to have that resource available is amazing.
This we're working on, it's a project. It's a couple of years we have that, and it's one of the projects we have on our website also. So if somebody want to protect us, that's fine as well. But this is what I love at motorcycling. If you have a theme and you want to bring it out and you make a race, and one of the things I tried last year, but it was critical because of COVID, to make a ride with the Blue Knights, with the Red Knights, to support this project, because it's really important for all of us. And when you see, and you mentioned it earlier, that they not get this big money, not the firefighter and not the police guys, but they are the people they are in most of danger, every day. That's why I think we need to do everything what it's in our power to do, and help them and promote it, so it gets more in the focus from everybody. And then the pictures from some of them, where other people complaining, it comes totally in the back, and they see what the most of them are really doing, and honor them.
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. I would love to see, everyone loves firefighters. I gotta say, everyone loves a firefighter. We hear that all the time, but it doesn't matter, even though that they're as loved as they are, they still need that support, and they still need to hear it. Just whether it's police officers or firefighters, because we can't live our everyday lives without either one of those two things. Our lives change drastically if they're no longer there. If they don't do what they do.
Shocked when I heard that they not get the support, when they get retired or when they get sick from the city or whoever. I was totally shocked. From the country I'm coming from, they have a special retirement for special when they have something and they have to go earlier in retirement, that they get some money, so
that's what I thought too, and until last year on the ride. And I was blown away by that they can risk their life on a daily basis and not have the support there, that when something's to happen, that their family isn't then supported. So I was just as shocked to learn that last year, and it was a little disappointing, to say the least. But that's why there's organizations out there to help these families and to help support them. Someone has to try and pick up the slack somewhere and make sure that these families are taken care of and loved.
That's a miracle in America. There's so many people like you outside, to helping one and another group. And with these words, I want to end the meeting tonight. We're living for an ethic code, and I will read that for the end of the meeting. And I thank you again for the presentation and for being with us. Hey, Kay, it's a little bit late. I'm sorry. And so I want to end the meeting with a 4-way test. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? 3, will it build goodwill and better friendship? And 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And the important thing, 5th, is it fun? So thank you guys, and have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Great presentation, Allison, Cammie. Thank you.
Thank